والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Inshallah, today we will cover verses 194 and 195 of Surah al-ʿAʿrāf. And we'll begin with the Arabic and then we'll look at the tafsir. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الذين تدعون من دون الله عباد أمثالكم فادعوهم فليستجيبوا لكم إن كنتم صادقين ألهم أرجل يمشون بها أم لهم أيدي يبطشون بها أم لهم أعين يبصرون بها أم لهم آذان يسمعون بها قل ادعوا شركاءكم ثم كيدون فلا تنظرون. So in the previous verses, we were talking about how people, when they would have some miracle happen in their lives, specifically when, say, they would have a child, they would, after the child is born, they would start to attribute other factors, other reasons as to why they came with their child or why their child and how their child came about. And Allah essentially accuses them as, why are you committing shirk? And this is shirk, an association that you are doing with Allah. It was Allah who gave you this, and there wasn't anything else. And then human beings throughout history had always sort of resorted to shirk, to idolatry, to making idols, and then worshipping them. And so then Allah now, He challenges these people. And He says, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ تَدْعُونَ مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ عِبَادٌ أَمْثَالُكُمْ. That indeed those entities or those things that you are making dua to, that you are calling out to other than Allah, عِبَادٌ أَمْثَالُكُمْ. That they are servants just like you. And this phrase or this statement, it's interesting. It, in a sense, completely couches and characterizes all of creation with sort of one sort of attribute. And that is the attribute of being an abd, of being an ibad. That in essence, what Allah is saying, that everything that is sort of created or everything that is other than Allah is an abd, is a servant, and there is only one ma'bud, or rather there should only be one ma'bud, only one that is worshipped, and that is Allah. And He is very interesting, it's very interesting because He says amthalukum. And so, which means like you. And these idols that people would make, they would be sort of figures or human-like figures that oftentimes they would resemble. The human beings having no true, real imagination, no ability to create, they would just create what they think is something that is similar to them, but they would just call it an idol, be it of something of wood, of stone, or any of those sorts of materials. But it would be something that would just look like some figure historically, and that would be their idol. And so Allah is even saying that you're creating things that are like you and that are ultimately also at the end of the day, they're also just an abd, they're also just ibad, they're also some entity that actually is just nothing but a servant, because it has a master, it has a creator, and the true creator is Allah. And so Allah then challenges these people that فَدْعُوهُمْ فَلْيَسْتَجِيبُوا لَكُمْ إِن كُنْتُمْ صَادِقِينَ. So make dua to them, invoke them, and let them respond to you. Let them try to help you out. In kuntum sadiqeen. If you are being true, if you are being genuine, if you're being real. And this is an interesting and often repeated phrase, in kuntum sadiqeen, that if you are being truthful, or if you are amongst those who tell the truth. That in a sense, Allah is almost challenging these people, that do you actually believe in the thing that you're doing? Do you actually believe in these idols? Like, are you being like genuine and real? You think this creature of stone is actually capable of doing anything? Is this creature of stone that you yourself fashioned with your own hands actually able to help you, able to listen to you, able to do any of these things? And this is also the sort of logic that Ibrahim alayhi salam, he challenges his people to consider. That are you going to أَتَعْبُدُونَ مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ مَا لَا يَنْفَعُكُمْ شَيْئًا وَلَا يَضُرُّكُمْ? That are you truly going to serve or worship these things or these idols that can neither hear you nor benefit you nor do anything from you? He saw firsthand that his father was an idol maker, that these idols were just something that were man-made. There's nothing divine about them. And so Allah is even challenging these mushriks, these people who find other entities or deities to worship other than Allah. And He's just making them think in these simple 3 words, that are you being real? Like, are you actually going to devote yourself to something like this? Allah continues, أَلَهُمْ أَرْجُلٌ يَمْشُونَ بِهَا. That do they have legs that they walk with? أَمْ لَهُمْ أَيْدٍ يَبْطِشُونَ بِهَا. Do they have hands that they can grab with? أَمْ لَهُمْ أَعْيُنٌ يُبْصِرُونَ بِهَا. Do they have eyes that they see with? أَمْ لَهُمْ آذَانٌ يَسْمَعُونَ بِهَا. Do they have ears that they listen with? That Allah's trying to get them to think and to use their aql. That they have all of these, like some of their idols, they would have noses, they would have legs, they would have a sort of human figure to them. They would be given eyes, they'd be given all these sorts of things. But are they actually capable of doing any of the actions? And it's interesting, these sorts of attributes and qualities that Allah is challenging their idols to have. Allah Azza wa Jal Himself describes Himself of having these sorts of attributes or accomplishing the sorts of goals that these things have. That for instance, there is like we have أَمْ لَهُمْ أَيْدٍ يَبْطِشُونَ بِهَا. That إِنَّ بَطْشَ رَبِّكَ لَشَدِيدٌ. That the grasp of your Lord is something that is severe. That we hear all over in the Quran how Allah can see. And so we have Allah having this perfect sight. How Allah is also as-Sami', He has this perfect hearing. That these are the true sorts of qualities that are perfect and that belong solely to Allah. But these handmade idols that you are devoting yourselves to, that don't actually do anything, that aren't able to help you, that you have given sort of human-like qualities and human body parts to, that they're not actually functioning in any sort of way. So why are you doing this? And Allah again, He taunts these people, and Allah is so blisteringly brutal in how He taunts and how He challenges people who are doing things that make no sense. That Allah says, He tells the Prophet that قُلِ ادْعُوا شُرَكَاءَكُمْ. That Prophet, tell them to call out and make dua to their idols, to their partners that they have made. ثُمَّ كِيدُونِ فَلَا تُنظِرُونَ. And plot against me, and don't give me any time, or don't delay me, don't delay it at all. That Allah's telling the Prophet that challenge these people. That fine, if you believe in these gods that you're worshiping, that call out to them, make dua to them, and actually just scheme against me with them. That try to defeat me, the Prophet, and Allah, who's going to resort to or turn only to Allah. فَلَا تُنظِرُونَ, and don't give me any time, that don't give me any delay. That Allah wants people to understand that His is the only sort of status that is befitting of any true sort of master, any true sort of creator, any true sort of entity that one can turn to. That it doesn't make sense, it's folly, it's foolishness to think that anything else or anyone else could be a substitute to Allah. And so it's interesting also, this verse, it echoes an earlier verse where Allah is describing people who aren't using their senses. That Allah says these similar sorts of phrases, that do they have hearts that cannot sort of think? Do they have sort of eyes that they don't use? Do they have sorts of hands that they do not use or utilize? That Allah, in a sense, by echoing this verse, He's linking how resorting to idolatry is something that is not just stupid and foolish, but it is also something that is vile. That Allah already curses people of having similar qualities, that they're not using their senses as they ought to be using. And so the ultimate sort of goal or lesson that Allah wants us to understand is that no sort of association is befitting Allah. That Allah is sole and Allah is unique, and that Allah is the only rightful sort of entity deserving of any worship. And so within our own lives, we need to understand and ask ourselves these questions, that maybe we're not devoting ourselves to any physical idols or making or constructing idols, but we do have sort of entities or sort of things that we may start associating with Allah, especially in this day and age. For instance, people worship science, people worship logic, people worship their own faculty, their own reason over Allah. They think that this is something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He doesn't even exist. And so they start worshiping these other things. But Allah also is sort of addressing these people, that is there any sort of creative quality of those things? Is there sort of any other one that you can call to or invoke or worship, that you can ask for help, that can actually help you in sort of way? Is your aql able to save you? Is Mother Nature something that you can actually invoke and make dua to? And so these are all sort of lessons that we can glean from these verses, that we can also apply in our own lives. And we need to remember and always recall that there is solely and only Allah, that is our ma'bud, that is our true sort of object of worship, our true entity that we devote ourselves to and that we cling to. And we ask Allah that He keeps us steadfast upon this path and upon His deen. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين